Right. Wait. It's Jen now, right?
Yeah, it's the Jen Now podcast. All right, we ready?
You should know this, Kelsey.
I know.
Welcome to the Generation Now podcast. I'm your host today, Luke, and we got
Kelsey.
and our special guest.
I'm Ashton.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm glad to have you today, Ashton. I had a fun little question for us today. So, if you could be in one TV show or movie, whatever you want to say, what movie would you want to be in or show? I know I should have given you more of a heads up because this is a pretty philosophical question.
Wow.
It's deep. I always want to... There's just so many options.
Oh.
Well, I like a lot of nerdy shows. I don't know if you've heard of the show Merlin. It's kind of
Yes.
It's a pretty good one.
off-brand type show, but it's actually really good. I love all that like King Arthur stuff and the
That would be
magic
nice.
and all that. It's
Yeah,
fun.
that would be
so
pretty fun.
That could be a fun one.
Nice.
All right, I'll go because I think you need a little more time.
I do.
So there's a show that I used to watch called Lab Rats. Kind of fun.
That one from
Yeah.
is that Disney?
Yes, it is actually a Disney
Yes.
show. Yeah, it was a Disney cartoon. But basically, kids who had superpowers but were locked in this guy's basement, basically. It's cool. It's actually pretty funny. Pretty good show, honestly. But anyways,
Nice.
Now good luck.
Mine is Shadow and Bone. It's based off of a book series.
Oh.
And so I would do that one. It's like fantasy. But
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, I wish I knew what that was, but it's
Pretty
sorry.
intense.
It is intense. It is. There's a lot of killing.
Oh
But
boy.
it's fine. Cut that.
So you gotta get your bloodlust
Speaking
satisfied.
of that, should we roll into
Sure.
the questions?
All right, here we go.
What first? Did you, when you were younger, did you like want to be a worship leader? Did you kind of were like, I know this is where I want to head?
Right. So from a young age, I definitely loved music. I loved to sing, loved worship. I don't know that being like a worship pastor
Yeah.
was necessarily on my radar right away. I think the idea of that scared me, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a very weighty
Oh yeah.
position if you
Yeah.
take it seriously. And but you know, the Lord was always just really patient with me and gracious as I grew into my gifts and grew into trusting him more and boldness. I was actually quite shy as a child. I'm naturally introverted, so it's not exactly comfortable
Yeah.
to be in front of people, but you know, that's when God equips you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like he what's that verse he uses, the foolish to confound the wise or whatever. It's not always who we as humans would think to pick
Yeah. No. Yeah.
for
absolutely.
different roles that God would put us
Yeah.
in. So
How old were you? Can I ask when you became a worship pastor?
I first joined the worship team when I was in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you've been there. You've been here a while.
I've just been basically serving since.
like forever.
Yep.
Keep going.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's nice. Did you, I'm trying to think of like, when you became a worship pastor, how did you get there? I don't feel like that's a normal title. I think that's my question. I feel like there's like pastor, but I've never, like, you're honestly the first worship pastor that I've met. Like, so I'm just curious how that came about.
Well, and I think that's just like a little bit of a more specific title. Like we have pastors here that kind of function in different roles. They're not necessarily seen as different levels or types of pastors per se. We're just the living word pastors. But we do, some of us have leanings towards different types of roles, like the teaching pastor, administrative pastor, worship. So yeah, that's kind of how that got there.
Happened to be.
Yeah, I basically just
Was here all the time?
was here all the time. You know, worked normal jobs, retail, whatever, and then would come spend all my free time here because I just love to do it.
Yeah.
And one day, you know, my gift just made room for me and came in on staff with the youth here for several years. Did that until eventually moving over to the worship department.
Yeah.
So
Do you have a favorite era of like worship?
There we go.
Or like, here?
Does the mic pick that up? My little breath. I think you could go a lot of different ways with that, but I'd say one that's probably really nostalgic would be like the early Hillsong.
Oh, let's go.
Okay.
Yes,
Good
for
choice,
sure.
good
Because that
choice.
was like my prime youth age growing up. And Hillsong was blowing up, right? Just album after album. And so grew up on a lot of those songs.
Yeah, how many times did you have to hear Father of Lights over and over?
I don't know. I lost track.
That's funny.
Honestly, I kind of have one question I was thinking about, because you took over like the position that Pastor Tim used to have, right?
No, I actually work under Pastor Tim.
Oh, you still do? Okay.
Yes. Yep. I was under Pastor Mel for a few years, and we recently transitioned. Pastor Tim is back in the role of worship director, and I'm one of the worship pastors underneath him. So within the worship department, I think my technical title is like assistant worship pastor.
I see. So how was your transition from like the youth here to being more main stage, more?
It was good. I went a little faster than I hoped, but I kind of started splitting my time between the two for a little while, eventually moving over to worship department. I think it helped that I kind of grew up in this. So I was pretty familiar already. I grew up in this church with my mom serving, and had already been serving on their team for years. So I think that helped that I had a pretty good handle on how things kind of run there. But it is quite different, than how we do things down here. So it's really just kind of like a mind shift and an adjustment. Yeah.
I understand that. All right.
What is the biggest impact that being a worship pastor has had on your life? Like, just really shaped it.
That's a very deep question.
It is a deep question. You definitely have a moment to think.
I guess I'm gonna like take it more from the pastor direction of it. Like when I became a pastor, it was kind of out of left field for me, actually.
Yeah.
People saw qualities in me that I didn't necessarily see or think about. So that's something I was like going for or pursuing. So it's been like kind of a journey of just learning, what does that look like to be a pastor? I had having to like rewire my brain, like, okay, it doesn't mean I'm in the pulpit every week, you know. Pastor is simply helping lead and guide and care for the flock, and whatever, area is entrusted to you. And I think with that brings just such a higher level of weightiness to what you're doing as a worship leader, right? Because you're guiding the congregation, trying to bring them into a closer place with God, and you're responsible for the people that you have leadership over. So
it's really nice. That's cool. Do you have a favorite, or like one of your favorite moments from being like in your time of worship that just really like impacted you, or was really cool? Just like a moment that you're like, that was cool. Like,
oh man,
I know there's like a lot, but just really sticks out.
Try to think of something that sticks out. Like, because there could be a million.
There's so many.
I can remember when you're at camp a couple of years ago. I just remember thinking this was such a cool moment. Because I've been working with Pastor Dustin for a few years, kind of, you learn how each other flows and stuff like that. But we got in this just intense moment of worship at camp where he had come out and was really actually taking the lead of the flow.
Really?
So he was like, he wasn't doing the singing per se, right? But he was like, okay, now sing this. And we got on the song Overflow, which he loves. We all know he loves that song. And we were just flowing with it, and then he'd just be like, okay, now go here, and we'd just feel the same thing. And just, I love moments like that in worship where you're like, okay,
flowing together.
We're both in the spirit here because we're getting the same things. Like, it's just so powerful.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I went for a very long time.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I know you said you grew up quiet and you're naturally introverted. And now you're here. How's that affected you, and how have you just taken that in confidence and like walked that out in life? with being a pastor?
I think it's hugely just growing with the Lord.
Yeah.
Obviously growing in your gifts, growing in your skill sets and your aptitude, like that helps, right? But at the end of the day, it's just growing in my relationship with the Lord and trusting Him. And through the trust in Him, I'm willing to step out and do things that maybe I'm uncomfortable with. Yeah. Right?
That's good.
It doesn't mean you're all of a sudden comfortable with everything. It just means you do it anyway.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. So, Luke, do you have anything?
I kind of thought of one. Don't want to be too shallow with this, but like, what is one of your favorite like worship songs? Like, what is that like one song that you're just like, oh, thank you, Lord?
Like of all time, or like current, recent, or
do both?
Do both, sure. We'll throw dice on this one.
How about? Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I can never pick one of all time.
That's what I thought.
How about I'll pick one oldie and one new?
Yeah, we can compromise with that.
Okay. Going back to the Hillsong, like we were talking about, Hosanna.
Yes.
Good old Brooke.
Your like voice is engraved in my brain with that song. Like I'm so serious. Like seriously, like because I grew up in this church, and so like that's one of my favorite worship songs too. So like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I would say that was a huge one growing up. A newer song. Gosh, there's been a lot of new music recently, and I'm just like working my way through it. But there's one that I'm hoping we'll do soon in the main. It's on our list. I know Noah would love to play with us when we do it, but new thing coming. Revelation.
Yep.
He's nodding his head.
There we go.
It's so powerful. It gets really, really prophetic, and I just feel like it fits our church right now with where we're going, where we're headed, and the vision that we have. So
that's so cool.
Excited to do that hopefully soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you would want to bestow like wisdom upon the youth and the people watching? Like things that you on your heart, maybe?
Like in regard to worship.
Yeah. Or anything.
Or
just literally anything.
Literally anything. Man, I don't know, just seek Him.
Yeah. How do you do that? What does that look like for you?
I think it looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
I think I've had, in a lot of ways, always just that kind of, I guess, childlike faith.
Yeah.
Like the word talks about. I'm just really open to the Lord, and my heart has just always been just for whatever He wants, and maybe that means something I'm not comfortable with, or maybe it does. It just depends. But just having that like heart of just surrender, right? Like, and He gets us. Like He understands where we're at, and like maybe He's asking you to do something that's not comfortable, or maybe you're not ready for it. And that's why I say he's been so gracious.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, like people didn't always understand why I didn't want to sing for them. Like, hey, come on, you got this gift. Come on, just sing for us.
It's so awkward.
Like, little old me just like, no, I just want to go in my room by myself. I
get that. Yes.
Yeah, but the Lord was always so patient, and like, just get to know Him for yourself, because he's just so gentle and patient and loving, and from that, like, worship just comes naturally, right? It's just a natural response. So
it's true.
I don't know if that fully made sense.
No, it totally did. Yeah. I definitely get that. I mean, I think when you're coming from a place of gratitude to God, that you're going to start worshiping, because I feel like that's a lot of what worship is like, you're just thanking God and how amazing He is. So
just get to know Him.
Yeah.
It's
good. Yeah, he's a good guy. Pretty good.
Pretty good. Do you have anything else, Luke?
I think I'm pretty good. What about you? Got any ideas?
Let me check the questions.
Oh boy.
I think. Okay. What makes a good worship song?
Ooh. So that could open like a whole can of worms, because I think there can be a lot of different opinions, right? But if you get to the heart of it, the worship song should be theologically sound, scripturally sound, right?
Yeah.
To our beliefs, what we believe about the Lord, to the Bible. Obviously, if it's catchy, that's super helpful, because you want your congregation to leave and be singing that during their week, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go to their normal lives and forget about service. And if it's catchy, a lot of times you'll just find yourself repeating it, or it'll be in your head, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the real reason you want it to be catchy, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, consider the complexity of it, of the lyrics, of the melody. That's where I say you can get in a lot of different opinions, right? There is a place for creativity.
Yeah.
However, we have to be thinking of our congregation and what the average person can catch on to, right? Connect with, follow. They're not all out there like professional musicians, like, oh yeah, they're doing this. You know, they're not all musically inclined, right? Most of them aren't going to be. So, you know, even with just like the key choice, or maybe how many verses there are, there's a lot to consider there.
Yeah. I think this question that always has come up for me a lot, or like in the past it did, question was like, you know how a lot of worship songs can be love songs? Do you think, obviously there's a difference, like what is that difference, I guess? Could you like kind of maybe explain that, like what's the difference?
Yeah, I think there's been probably an influx these recent years of songs like that are really relational focused, or just kind of like maybe sharing your love to him. And there's a place for all these types of songs. I think in general for us here at Living Word, we really, really look for songs that are just Christ focused, Christ directed. And just as uplifting as possible. Because we only get like 15 minutes with our congregation to just get these songs into them and to encourage them and get their hearts open and ready for the word. So for us, we look for stuff that's more directly Christ focused for the most part. Doesn't mean it's like the only thing you can do. Other songs that are more like a love song or more focused on like, sometimes they're testimonial, like here's what God did for me, and those are also powerful. There's a place for both. You just have to know, it's like you have to know your congregation, your demographic, and also what has your pastor asked for, requested, what's their vision. As a worship leader, that's your job to just
in a church. Would you think that doing those types of songs that are like the love songs and the testimonial song, would you avoid doing that? Would you like in front of the congregation, like would you want to, like would you still do that?
Depends on the song.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I would avoid that, but again, it really just depends on your specific congregation and what is right for the body that God's called you to. And so for like down there in the Main, we don't necessarily lean into those as much. It just depends though. I don't want to like generalize it too much.
No, for sure. It's cool. I think I like to ask this question to people, and it's kind of what's like Jesus speaking to you right now? Like what's like the thing that like this day or this week that he's really just been speaking to you?
I think he's been speaking to me a lot about really just focusing in. There's been a lot of transition happening in our church recently, kind of a shaking going on, people getting into new positions, and you know, that can be uncomfortable, right? It can mean, you know, one person moving here can mean like 5 other people's roles adjust, right? There's a lot happening, and I think the Lord really just wants us to just almost tunnel vision, like get rid of these distractions and just keep your eyes on me
Yeah.
And then we're going to get to where he wants us to go. So
It's good.
yeah.
What about you, Luke? I'm curious.
Me?
What has Jesus been speaking to you this past week?
That's a loaded question for everyone, especially since we did the retreat a little while ago.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Honestly, there's a lot, but
One thing.
basically the biggest thing is probably just giving all insecurities to God.
Yeah. No.
Because I'm also very quiet, but ironically, God's put me in a lot of customer service and door greeting. So, taking the quietest person and putting them in front. So that's kind of funny. But Ward has a sense of humor. I'll tell you that.
This is true. Yeah.
And it's just, it's good.
Me?
But now, it goes full circle.
Okay, I guess I can share. I think, like Luke was just talking, we did just have our intern retreat, which was really, really good since we're ending our year here soon. But while we were there was just a lot of stuff spoken. But I think the biggest thing was probably boldness and just like stepping out in that kind of in confidence and like, I mean, I think with like most people, we like tend to struggle to do that, especially when we're trying to figure out who we are. And so like just in those little things like that God just revealed to us, just taking those steps is really important. And so that's what I'm doing right now. It's kind of like, okay, God, I'm doing it. Let's do this. Kind of like, just trusting God. So that'd be mine.
That's where we can know like it just wasn't of us.
Yeah.
Because he's asking us to do something that maybe we don't necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
We're very comfortable with.
Yeah. That would be mine. Any last thoughts? For either?
Thoughts, prayers?
I don't know.
We're good?
I think I love you guys.
Aww.
And miss seeing all you guys all the time, but I'm happy I get to come in every once in a while. Been thinking about you guys with camp coming up, and
yes,
I'll be
so
great.
excited.
I believe it's going to be an incredible time. I might shed a few tears for not being there.
You're not going to be there? Sorry. Sorry.
Not that I'm aware of.
That's a bummer.
Not that I'm aware of. But it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be
I'm
awesome.
super sad, but that's
sorry. Sorry to
We'll miss you.
whatever.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy spring.
Spring. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love spring. Do you guys have a favorite season? This is totally off topic.
Well, I guess we'll go a little long. Honestly, for me, I like the fall. You get all the color, nice and cool, but like not super cold in general.
Yep.
Just got that nice, refreshing. But we got spring for both of you. Right?
I was literally thinking about this on my way in this morning for some reason. I was like, what is my favorite season? It's probably between fall or spring.
See, I'm a spring girly and people hate on it.
Why?
I love, because they're like, it's muddy and it's rainy, and I'm like,
I used to think that way, but I don't know. There's just something about like
everything's coming
waking
alive.
up. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anyways.
I feel you. And you.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
All right.
More thoughts?
That was it.
thought.
Sorry.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks
Here
for
we go.
watching, guys, and listening. I'll pray. I like to pray.
Great.
All right, go
So we'll
ahead.
pray over. Lord, I just pray over our time on this podcast and that it was blessed. I pray over the listeners, just their weeks, and that you would just bless them and encourage them throughout their week, God, and that we all have amazing, uplifting weeks, and we are just a hope and a light to people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, as a wise cucumber once said, God made you special and he loves you very much. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.